Good afternoon. Today we have another project involving the Polaris Ranger 800. Basically your 2009 through 2014 800 series. Pretty much anything with this type of front shock on it. As you can tell, have a big crack in the bump stop there. This is the other shock. These are actually pretty good compared to some I've seen. They've just dry rotted. Most of them get so chewed up they just end up falling out and you never find them. I've never been able to find a replacement for these, an actual bump stop replacement. So this is what I've been reduced to using. This is just your basic dog chew toy. Kind of looks similar to a bump stop. Small size, and basically the reason for that is, if I can get it out of the package here, give you a smaller diameter hole on the end. This end is larger. I generally end up using this side going up, the smaller side on bottom. So to get to this point, here's your average front shock. To get this cam off, or I don't know what you'd want to call this, a locking collar, which if I can find my other one here, it's just like this. And all that does is once you get the spring off, this locking collar will slip out and will allow your spring to slip off. I have a pair of spring compressor tools here. I purchased these. Since I do this so often, you can rent them, I believe, from an auto parts store. In a pinch, I have used 2 large vice grips, and I've clamped them over a coil on each side, 2 coils, and you can get enough compression to get that collar off. I do not recommend that to anybody. I do not recommend using a ratchet strap, just because if you're not an experienced redneck and you don't do this much, you can end up having a spring launch up and hit you in the eye. It's pretty serious stuff. I mean, be careful. Know what you're doing. So having went through my disclaimer there, what I like to use once you get the spring off, I like to use an old drive belt. This is a Polaris or a snowmobile belt. I think you could use a regular Polaris CVT belt or any belt. And I clamp the shaft there between the cogs of the belt, grip it down tight. That way you don't mar up that chrome finish. I really haven't found any other way to hold it and do a good job. It just likes to spin. You'll need a 11/16 wrench to get a hold of the head of that there. And we'll try it here. We can try to spin it and see if it'll break free, and it did, luckily. All the other ones I've taken off, and you can see the red Loctite a little bit there. This guy is your friend if it won't come off. Your torch. If you need to, if it won't break free and it just wants to spin, heat this area, that nut, get it good and hot, and then that Loctite will let up, and you'll be able to free it up and get it spun off of there. If you need to get it good and hot and you're worried about these bushings, just take them out. Don't burn your bushings up. So that's off. This washer comes off. So then you are free to slip basically your dog chew toy over the shaft. And I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll keep going here. Okay, there we are. I just slipped this shaft up a little higher so I could get this mount or this bump stop slid on. Put a little WD-40 or grease on the shaft, slip it right on there. It'll go on no problem. And I just like to slip it down far enough that I can get the eyelet threaded back on top. So once that's done, go ahead and clean these threads off with brake cleaner. Reinstall your washer. And go ahead and put a little red Loctite on your threads there. And I do like to use red just because it's the strongest, and for something like this you don't want this threading off. thread that down by hand, and grab your 11/16 wrench. See, my shaft is starting to spin there, so basically that's as tight as I can get it. I would estimate that's probably only about 15 to 20 foot-pounds of torque, but when the Loctite sets up and you get the spring on there and everything's compressed, there's really nowhere for it to go, so don't be concerned. One reason I say to use the small size dog toy here is because if you use a larger one, you're going to have issues getting your spring coils over it. You don't want that. And I guess, I mean, I don't have a tape measure in front of me, but this toy is probably 1.5 inches across and maybe 2.5 to 3 inches tall. And they're made out of polyurethane usually. These will outlast a factory bump stop. And don't worry about getting this pulled up or anything. The first time you hit a bump, it'll push it up and it'll stay up. So that's all I had with that. I'm not going to reinstall the spring because I have a set of heavy-duty springs coming for this. Basically, to reverse your installation, just compress your spring. Basically, take this out of the vise, put your spring on, compress it, slip your locking collar back in. And there is a, if you'll notice, most springs, one opening is larger than the other. The larger opening should go down, at least in the experiences I've had. So that's all for me today. The shop bench is a mess. It's been a busy week. Hopefully this helps some folks save some money. Probably talking around $10 for each bump stop, but when you consider that you can reuse your old shocks and save yourselves about $300 on replacements, it's well worth investment. Thanks for watching.